Why is it that most contractors live broke while developers are actually the ones that go out and get wealthy? And what's the difference between the two? What's the difference between a contractor, a developer, and what makes the financial variance between the two? I want to run through exactly what I've been doing for the last 28 plus years because I've worn all hats. I've been the builder and the contractor, and we've also been the developer and the ownership group. And most people don't realize that there's a difference between all of these. The contractor is the person who actually builds out the property for the developer. And so a lot of times, contractors can wear both hats, but a vast majority of times, most contractors stay as contractors, which are for hire to build for other people, not themselves. And that's the biggest difference, is that most contractors build for others, not themselves. And so when in early years, I didn't build for other people, I built for me. I became a contractor for me first, and then a builder for other people second. Realized that I didn't like building for other people, so I landed up just building for myself the vast majority of my professional career. We were already wearing the general contractor's hat with the concrete company. And there's only so much bandwidth that we had to nurse emotions with residential clients. So in regards to having to deal with residential clients, we put ourselves in a position where we went out and we dealt with the concrete as the contractor, and then everything else we built for ourselves, never taking on the liability, the stress to go out and build for other people. Now, here's the lending and the real variance that happens. When a contractor goes out and builds, the customer themselves gets the lending. So if someone's building a house and they go into the bank, what's happening is in that bank, the homeowner is getting an owner build, and the bank is paying them to pay the contractor the money. Now, the contractor's sophistication level doesn't have to be high. The bank only wants to know, hey, do you have the experience? Have you built before? They're not checking their credit. They're not checking the viability of their finances. They're checking, do you have the experience to build this property? So to the disadvantage of the general contractor, they never built credit. They don't even think and believe that they're capable of going and getting these loans because they never have. And so because they never have, they think that they need to go in with hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to go in and get a construction loan to build a property. And they always feel like they're building for these rich people that are doctors, attorneys, or these wealthy and affluent people. So they allow them to go get the money, and then they get paid a nominal fee for being the contractor from the people that are getting the actual lending and the loans for the actual builds. In fact, the developers will go in, they'll retain the financing, they'll retain and secure the loans, and then they'll go out and hire the contractor to go out and build apartment complexes, warehouse buildings, office complexes, hotels, and all of those sectors of commercial real estate, because the contractor himself doesn't know or believe that they themselves have the capabilities of taking down the financing on those assets. So the biggest thing is that the developer wears the hat of putting the project together. They hire a team. They find the architects, they find the engineers, they find and resource the money, the capital, the equity, the debt, and they find the contractors. And then they take all of those and they immerse all three sectors together: the financing, the contractors, and the soft cost of the entitlements, the architecture and engineering. They mesh all those together and they turnkey a project, hence taking on a lot of the liability, a lot of the risk, and they land up making the vast majority of the profit. Now, don't think that the contractor's walking out without liability, because they're typically contractually obligated to comply with a certain budget amount, and they typically have budget parameters in their contracts that makes them liable if they don't hit that. They also have performance clauses that makes them and holds them to a certain timeline to get the project completed and finished. So contractors, you're wearing all this liability. Why not take the profit along with the liability, is my question to you. And for most contractors, they've just never learned the lending side of the business. So it's time to learn the lending side of the business. And so one of the big things is that most general contractors will stay broke because they're not willing to lend the banking, nor do they feel they're capable, where developers are willing to take that risk on and understand how the lending and the actual development work cohesively together to make it profitable. Now, let's take a look at this really quick and let's see what this looks like. Now, from a contractor's perspective, there's a few ways that they can bid the project. They can go in and do a regular bid model, okay, where they just go in, they get a price. They figure out all their costs, their materials, they bid it, they take in a percentage of profitability, and then they go in and they do it through a bid model. Second way that they do it is going to be through a cost plus. This is a little bit better for contractors that are less sophisticated because they can go in and basically whatever they pay for the cost of labor and materials, they're going to get paid a percentages, typically about 15%. Okay, this is the cost plus model. Now, there's also a flat fee model. Okay, this is a flat fee model, and they'll typically go in and say, okay, it's worth about X amount of dollars. The asset's going to be worth $1 million. I'll do it at 10%. I'll do it for $100,000. Or they'll do it for a flat fee, $50,000, $100,000, whatever it is. And they'll do it for a flat fee of X amount of dollars based on whatever they're building. 50,000, 40,000, 60,000, 80,000, whatever it is. And they'll typically get paid out 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. 1/3 when they start, 1/3 after framing inspection is done, and 1/3 at full completion. Okay. And so these allow the builder, the contractor, to get paid. The developer doesn't get paid until the back end. There is a development fee that typically goes in to the actual cost of development, but it's typically modest. Even on a big $30 million development, it's $500,000 to $800,000. It's very modest. But where the real money is made is at the ownership and development group on the back end. When you go out and you build a $20 million development, or let's not even get that crazy. When you go out and you build, let's say a little $1 million build, okay? And let's say you're retaining $300,000 in equity in here after everybody's been paid out. This equity is your take home, okay? That's your take home. When you sell that asset, this equity is your take home. When you get paid is on the back end. These guys get paid on the front end. The developer gets paid on the back end, but when they execute, their profitability is typically larger. The developer will make anywhere between 20, 30, sometimes even more, a larger percentage on their return than even that, depending on the actual build, the actual cost, and the actual location of what they're building and how much they retain their land for. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have the capabilities of wearing both hats, it's only going to protect your vested interest financially long-term in a more strong place than being just the general contractor. But don't just limit yourself to being the contractor. Put yourself in a position where you start to understand lending, banking, underwriting, and how they all work together to ultimately learn how to source your own capital. Even if you have a lower income, you are still very capable of putting yourself in a position to go out and leverage larger amounts of money, even if your debt to income ratio doesn't match up with the overall build cost, provided the asset value of the asset itself holds its strength to be able to afford to stand on its own 2 feet so that you can go out, retain financing, build and profit as both the builder and the developer of your next build. If you have no experience, hire a contractor, but take the ownership and the development hat and wear those two hats until you get the experience you need to take on the contractor side. And for some of you guys, you might sit back and say, you know what, Jerome, I'll just be the developer, I'll be the owner. I never want to wear the contractor hat ever in my life. I'll let someone else build them. I'll let someone else take the liability, and I will just take the profits on the back end. And for those of you guys that do either or, this is an incredible industry with large profitability, provided you learn how to underwrite and execute on all ground-up builds. For more content just like this, and to better understand the underwriting perspective of which one underwrites the best, the contractor or the development side, click and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'm going to recommend an underwriting video on multifamily and single-family builds, both after this video. Click and watch, learn, and go out and compound your success. Click and subscribe, pound that thumbs up button, and don't forget to leave a comment down below. God bless and have a great day.